I don't know what I'm going to draw until I start. That is an extremely strange moment in the creative act. You don't know when to make a move. There's a lot at stake, so to speak. I stare at this thing and something starts to manifest itself. That feeling is very intense and exciting. It's not a bad feeling, but it's not necessarily a good feeling. It's an exciting feeling. I say this, and I mean it, one tiny brushstroke I wouldn't change. When I was misbehaving in my classes when I was a kid, the teacher would just tack up a piece of paper, or a big piece of paper on the wall, and then I'd just quiet down and get busy making a painting. And that's just a metaphor for how I really am in my daily life. This is, I think, one of my very, very favorite paintings. The subject matter is, I find, extremely peculiar. Sometimes it feels like it's a stage play, and sometimes it feels like it's just a reality and people being frightened by an image in the garden out there. I don't see myself in this one at all. The human condition. That's what I deal with. It has violence in it, it has humor in it, seriousness, love, it has touches of sexuality. It has all the human characteristics. He's got big greedy hands, this guy. I probably was 17 or 18 years old. I lived in Newark, New Jersey, and I went down to a river. I never had any lessons or teaching, and I set up a little place to paint, and I painted a nice picture. And it's around somewhere, I don't know where, but I still have it. It was actually pretty good. I had a funny experience with it. I put it up with a bunch of the paintings that I painted in recent times, and there was a gal that came over. I said, well, which one of these do you like best? She pointed to the first one I ever painted. My first painting I ever sold in my life, I sold to the Newark Museum. This really startled me, and it startled my father. So from then on, instead of, look, my son's a doctor, it was, look, my son's an artist. So that changed everything around. I was drafted around 1944, 45, as soon as I turned 18. And I was in something called Intelligence and Reconnaissance. I got on the ship and I was headed for Japan. Well, right in the middle of the boat trip, the war ceased, the end of the war. Oh, was I happy. Whew. And the ship that I was on, and it went straight to the Philippine Island, and I was there for a year, and I had more damn fun. They didn't know what to do with me, so, you know, I was a musician, so they said, well, start up a band, we'll make all the arrangements. Well, the arrangements were practically nothing, I mean, except for the musical instrument. So I did a whole number there. I set up the band and I used all my talents. I made the stands for the musicians, and I got a sign painter and paint big, beautiful things on the walls. And the soldiers would be down below and we put on a show. So it was just a whole lot of fun because my favorite people are jazz musicians. They have a kind of a personality that is very appealing to me. I started with clarinet. I was a serious clarinet player. I studied with the best teachers in New York. One day I was carrying a painting about 9 feet long, and The director of the Guggenheim Museum came down the street. As I remember, he already bought one of my paintings, so I knew him. But anyway, yeah, could you help me carry this painting up? Which was audacity beyond belief. No one would do that today. So he said, okay. So he helped me carry it up. And then he said, well, I carried it up, unwrap it, let me see it. So I unwrapped it, and he bought it. It was in the first show at the Guggenheim Museum with Juan Miro. So the director of the museum, James Johnson Sweeney, called me up and said, Miro looked at your painting, he thought it was a marvelous painting. I said, oh my God. I said, I was really overwhelmed. I got a piece of paper and I made a little drawing, you know, and I sent it to him in Mallorca, Spain. I forgot all about it. You know, thank you for what you said, and blah, blah, blah. About 2, 3 weeks later, I got an envelope from Mallorca. I said, oh boy, I hope this is what I think it is. Boom, I pulled it out, and it was a drawing by Miro. And it said, with an affectionate greeting to Carmen Cicero, Juan Miro. Whoa! So I treasured this thing. But guess what happened? Tragedy. My studio burned down, all my paintings burned down, my Miro work burned down, and that was the end of that story. Very sad. I was a pretty well-known artist. I was an abstract expressionist painter when I started. That was the prevailing mode. But at one point I said, this is not me. The worst thing I want to be would be a second-generation abstract expressionist. No, I don't want to be anything that I didn't invent myself. And so I started to paint figurative painting. Very few people were doing it. There were some, but very few. So I had a lot of paintings of that kind, and they all burned down. So my contribution and my significance was not recorded. After the fire, I didn't know how to start or where to. It was really a terrible, terrible experience. Really terrible. What happened after that was that I moved to New York, and I found this place. Well, first of all, Mary was a beauty. She was working as a waitress in Charow, Cape Cod. I went in and I saw Mary and I said, oh boy, that is my type. She was just full of life and pep. I mean, it was remarkable. And apparently I appealed to her. We got along just fine. You know, from the first day on, it was almost just continuous. Ba 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 ba, ba ba ba, la da da dee, la da 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 da, ba da do ba ba ba, ba 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 ba, body and soul.
Yeah, I first moved in with Carmen in 1979, and it was still raw here on the Bowery in those days.
The whole place was empty, and there was no shades, windows, nothing. I thought people were looking in on me, although who the hell would look in and what are they going to see anyway? I looked out that window right there, which was open halfway, and there's a cat looking in at me. He was a nasty looking thing with an eye running and an ear chewed off. So I said, "Scat!" Wouldn't move. So I looked at that cat and I said, "It's a New York cat." Wouldn't move. When I moved here, there wasn't one building on this block that was higher than 4 stories. You could see as far as you were able to see that way. You know, whatever your vision was, it would go to the end. And most of the people that lived in these buildings were artists, and they were very few. Probably I'm romanticizing it, but it was very interesting. I wasn't stuck here like many people. I was only here in the wintertime, and I had a summer house on Cape Cod, a beautiful house. This was a railroad station at one time. We still have the sign, and people waited right here for the trains to come. I remember coming up this road here a long, long time ago and seeing this house, which of course looked a whole lot different than it does now. It was pretty shabby. You know, we fix it a little bit every year. It just keeps getting nicer and nicer and more pleasant. A clairvoyant once, I went to see one, and she said, Mr. Cicero, you lead a charmed life. And I think I actually do. I mean, I've had my miseries like everybody else, but for the most part, it's been a wonderful life. I have a wonderful wife, and I have a wonderful place here on Cape Cod, and a very interesting place in New York, so that is a nice life. I think part of having a good life is to think about the future, because I just see a beautiful little red bird there. Anyway. You know, I'm 98. I'll be 99 in August. People tell me, oh, wow, you don't look it. Well, I mean, I don't look it, but I feel it. My birthday's on August the 14th. So I'll be 99 years old, August the 14th. And then the next year, I'll be 100 years old. Unbelievable. I mean, it's just, the thought of it is, it's hard to explain. I don't know when I did it, but there it is. This is the first painting I ever made. I think it's pretty remarkable. That's the first time I ever painted, I got something like that. Right now I'm drawing, so every day I draw. In other words, I'm active artistically. And I don't know how long it'll be that way, but it's a curious thing. It's, you'll hear this said over and over and over by old people. Inside, I feel like I'm young. Well, that's the way I feel. Mentally and emotionally, I feel like I'm no different than I was when I was 40 years old. Picasso said, it took me 4 years to paint like Raphael and a lifetime to paint like a kid. It's the kids, when they work, it's just absolute natural, unedified flow from inside to outside. When you look at it, you just instantly see that freedom. Here, I'll pretend that I'm playing. See if I can fool the audience. Well, like most artists, I'd like to be a well-known artist. I like to live a long time through my paintings. I'm like most artists. I'm delighted that I got this much, you know, from my work. I'm probably known nationally in the art world, not by most people. Most people in the United States never heard of me. But in the art world, I think I'm known pretty much all over. Look, hon, the bird. What is he doing? He knows how to be very still. And he'll probably be same spot when we leave. It's a very sad thing to see. Like right next door there was an artist. He died, and the day after he died it was like he never existed. I guess the average person, that's what happens to them. But for some reason, I think painters and artists and people of people who want to go public in some way, they don't like the idea that they're going to die and disappear. They want to attain some kind of fame and be remembered for a long time. It's still very real, and I think it can be very painful when an artist realizes before he dies that he didn't make a mark of any kind. I guess I have nothing more to say on that point. It's hard to imagine what the consciousness of a creature like that is. And we're looking at him and thinking to ourselves, must be very lonely. But I don't know that he thinks he's very lonely. Maybe the fact that we're here just thinks of us as a pain in the ass. Look at the water around him. Boy, when you concentrate on one thing, then you lift your eyes and see this. It's really, the water's so flat and the boats are just very still. Right. Oh boy. As you know, I don't like people talking about me, even when it's praising. At the same time, I have to say that I'm delighted, really, that people do think enough of me to have an event just to talk about me, and I'll try to bear with it. When I look at my life, I do feel that I was lucky. It's almost magical that you're so lucky to have such a life. I don't know if it can be expressed any differently than that.